Hey man, I'm Jusko from ProudMoney.com. American Express says that it is set to refresh around 40 of its credit cards globally in 2024. Some percentage of those probably going to be in the United States. So in this video, I am going to take a look at the American Express credit card lineup and tell you what I think the chances of refresh are for their individual products, and then what I think maybe would be changed about them in a refresh. Now, American Express says that they generally try to refresh their products every 3 or 4 years. Some of these have been longer than that. Some of them have been shorter than that. So we'll talk about that too. Now, I do want to give a credit here to Doctor of Credit, because they are the ones that singled out that earnings call this past week that American Express had, where they said they were going to refresh around 40 cards. So now, before I make any predictions, American Express did say on their call that over the last 2 years, there have been about 25 million new American Express credit card accounts, and about 70% of those fee-based accounts, meaning credit cards with annual fees. In addition, they said in the US, about 75% of the new Gold and Platinum card members came from the Millennial or Gen Z generations. Now, they did not break out which were Millennial and which were Gen Z, and the oldest Millennials could be over 40 at this point. So that doesn't necessarily mean that it's skewing that young, but still to some extent skewing younger. And I say all this because American Express made a point in that call to talk about how much they are kind of going after these premium customers, and that sort of weighs into my thoughts as to whether they're going to refresh some of these cards, how much they care about them. They seem to care more about their premium cards than their no annual fee cards. So let's get started. It makes sense to tackle the American Express Platinum card first. I give this only a 20% chance of a refresh here in 2024. It has not been quite 3 years since American Express increased the annual fee and added some stuff to this card. I think people still sort of swallowing what that annual fee is and what they are getting for it. So I don't think we're going to see anything new here. If we did see anything new, what I would hope would happen is maybe a little bit away from the trend of clamping on sort of the coupon book Frankenstein-y stuff onto this card, and maybe having an increase in point earning potential, at least in one more category. Restaurants would probably be the one that would make the most sense on a travel card like this. But as of now, American Express doesn't seem like this is one of the cards that is in line for a refresh. Now, the American Express Gold, on the other hand, probably due for a refresh here in 2024. I'm going to peg the odds at 80% that we see something new on the American Express Gold. It has been a while. Now, what would you do to the American Express Gold? I would think that this card has sort of a everyday feel in terms of where you are earning your membership rewards points. So I think that they might increase the number of categories, maybe take down the 4X categories, but then add some more 3X categories so that you are getting 3X at restaurants, on travel, on gas or electric vehicles, maybe on streaming, or maybe add the digital entertainment credit that you see on the Platinum card. Maybe that's something that could come onto the Gold card. Not sure what else you would necessarily add here. It would be nice if they would change the Uber and dining credits so that they're not so chunked up by month, because I think that would enhance the value for a lot of people right there. If they did that, actually, if they do any of this, I would imagine the annual fee is going to go up. It's at $250 right now. Maybe we're going to hit $300, or maybe they'll put it at $295, so it doesn't feel quite as bad as $300, but something's going to happen here. Now, the American Express Green Card has not had a refresh since 2019, so you would think that coming up on 4.5, 5 years, it would be time for another one. I'm not quite sure if I think there's going to be one or not. I'm going to peg it at about 40%. Green seems to be the card that American Express sort of neglects. That last refresh was the first one in a very long time on the green. So what you would do to the green, even in a refresh, not quite sure when you sort of compare it to the other cards and the annual fee that it's sitting at. I think an obvious thing would be to add a TSA pre-check or global entry credit onto this card, because you already have a clear credit, which is not necessarily as impactful if you don't have TSA pre or global entry. So there's something there. Maybe you could add something like that digital entertainment credit that the Platinum card has to give a little bit of extra value on this card. Sitting at a $150 annual fee, though, when you compare it to the gold card, I don't know how much more you would add unless you increase the annual fee here again. And I don't know how attractive the green card is to a lot of people. So this is a card that I think American Express still doesn't totally know what to do with. The Delta Airlines credit cards from American Express probably due for a refresh, but I'm only going to peg it at about a 60% chance because overall, I think the cards are fairly strong and I don't think that they necessarily are in need of a huge refresh. Now, the Platinum card did recently lose any access to the Delta Sky Clubs, where before you could pay something extra to get in them if you had the Platinum card, so obviously they might want to have something new tacked onto that card. If you look at the Reserve card, maybe you could make the case that something more should be done there, but really that card is to give you access to the Delta Sky Club. So they kind of have you over a barrel in a way. If you want access through the credit card, that's the way you're going to get it. So it's up to American Express if they want to give you anything more. Now, the Reserve card does have some complimentary upgrades potentially, and maybe that is something that you could add to some of these other cards as the airplanes get chopped up more and more between basic economy and main cabin, all these other different things. Well, maybe having some upgrades where people could move up from one level to the next with their credit card would be something you could add on to these cards. Not sure what else you would do, but it seems at least like they're due for a refresh. Now, the Marriott cards had a refresh a couple of years ago, the Hilton cards in 2023, so I would peg the chances of another refresh of either of those at pretty much 0 in 2024. Blue Cash Preferred is a card that I peg at an 80% chance of a refresh here in 2024. This is a card that when it first came out, 6% on your grocery store purchases as well as good rewards on gas and streaming services and other things made this a pretty compelling card. But when American Express upgraded the Blue Cash Everyday, the no annual fee card that offered some of the same things as the Blue Cash Preferred, it made this card a little harder to justify, and more cards have kind of come out here on the market where they have upgraded the rewards they give on grocery store purchases, whether that is permanent or whether that is one of the rotating 5% cards where you can sometimes get grocery store rewards at 5%. So Blue Cash Preferred kind of needs to do something. I'm not sure exactly what they will do. Obviously, you could increase your number of categories, or maybe you could lower the annual fee, although American Express doesn't really lower annual fees. So this is going to be something of a challenge for American Express to figure out what to do with this card, but I think they need to do something. Now, the Amex Everyday and the Amex Everyday Preferred are two cards that I think are screaming for a refresh, but I'm only going to peg them at a 30% chance of actually getting one in 2024. These just seem like two cards that American Express doesn't care a whole lot about. The Everyday Preferred is a better value proposition as it stands, especially if you're someone that can use the card at least 30 times in a billing cycle and get the extra 50% reward on that card. So that one I can kind of see to justify. The Amex Everyday card with no annual fee, very difficult to justify given the sort of paltry rewards that are on that one. But American Express seems sort of content to leave these as they are. I'm not quite sure why, but I think they need the refresh. I don't know if they're going to get it. Same thing with the American Express Cash Magnet card. It's a no annual fee card that gives you 1.5% cash back on all of your purchases. Not super competitive. Even if you wanted a 1.5% cash back card, I'd probably get the Capital One Quicksilver first because it has no foreign transaction fees. So American Express should refresh this if they wanted to be competitive. It would make sense to go up to a 2% flat cash back reward to make it competitive with other things on the market. Probably they should ditch the Cash Magnet name altogether and come up with a whole new card that they could then sort of relaunch and act like they had done something really cool in the marketplace. I don't know if they're going to do it though, because with all of their talk of the premium cards and how much this is driving their business, they just don't seem like they care that much to play in a lot of the no annual fee market. So even though it needs the refresh, I'm only going to peg it at a 25% chance of happening. Now, American Express obviously is strong in the small business market as well. In this video, I'm not going to tackle those cards in terms of where I think a refresh might happen. They're a little harder to predict. And again, from what American Express has said, the small business market right now seems like it's only okay, and a lot of where they're what's driving their business is more the consumer market and the premium cards there. So I don't know how much they're going to concentrate on refreshing their business cards. But anyway, if you have thoughts about their business card, what needs a refresh, what might get one, or their consumer cards, would love to hear that in the comments section below. Otherwise, I thank you for watching, and as always, please go to proudmoney.com, where we do credit card reviews, we talk personal finance, we talk deals, and all sorts of other fun stuff too. If you're not leaving a comment or going to the website, you might want to watch next this video.